What's going on, guys? Welcome to T-Dog's Performance. So today I got some new stuff to play with. I got a big old box of racing seats and some other boxes with hardware and some brackets and stuff, and I'm hoping to mesh all this together in a nice package today. This is something I've been kind of holding off for a little while. Now, these are the coveted cheapo racing seats from Amazon, right? You can get them on eBay and some other places. These came from Amazon, and the design on these ones, the way they're made, is a little different than a lot of the other kind of mainstream ones out there. So there's one thing that I think is going to be better for what I want to do with them versus basically in a lifted truck versus putting them in a lowered sports car. So we'll get into what that is. But first we got to get these open and see what we got to work with. The box is in pretty good shape, so I think we're off to a good start. Do not open with knife. Oh! No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna use a knife, but we're gonna be careful with it. It always makes me wonder what they expect out of you when they have those little do not use a knife to open. Like how are you supposed to open it if you can't cut the tape off? Oh. There's one. Oh, box is trying to come with me. And two. And that's it. There's usually always some loose something in the box. Alright. Let's get this out of this bag. Get a closer look at it. There's something on the bag. Do not stand on this chair. Do not use this chair as a step ladder. Now, I think we've all done that, but not with a car chair, so good enough for the moment. All right, well, this is what we got to work with. So I took a quick second and I started looking it over, and it is pretty immaculate. I can't find like anything wrong with it. Not even like a single stitch that's out. So at least appearance wise, quality is looking pretty good. So this one has the carbon fiber on the back. Carbon fiber. We're obviously not going to see much of that. What I was after was the black and red stitches. I think that's going to go really well with what I got going on in the truck right now. But this design, you might notice something a little different. This part's pretty typical of what a lot of them look like. You got the bolsters, you got all that stuff. But down here, you don't have the bolsters so much. So you can tell there's a pretty big difference from here to there. And also, I was just doing a good old squeeze test, and there's actually a decent amount of padding. Like, you can't just feel, I almost expected to just feel like a metal bar in there, just because the price. Down here we have a small bolster. It's almost not there, but it is there. So I know, kind of contradicting. For getting up into the seat in the truck, I think having this smaller bolster is going to be better. And the truck obviously is V8 swapped, and we've done a bunch of work to it, but I'm not like autocrossing with it anytime soon. So for something else like a Corvette, having these big ones down low on the whole seat would be important. But for me, I just want something that looks nice and is better than what my worn out stock ones were, and now better than the last ones we put into it. This is probably about the sketchiest thing that you could do. but I just want to make sure that I actually fit in this. Just nervous about my contraption here. They actually feel pretty nice though. I was worried these were just gonna like squeeze me. It's not so bad actually. I do really like these right off the bat. If it was bolstered down the sides, I would be kind of like trapped in here, you know. It's super comfortable. I barely even noticed them there. There is something there, so I won't just like slide out of my seat. Mainly these are what's gonna do that job around if I do somehow take a hard corner. Man, that's actually not that bad. So like I'm right around 6 foot, 250 pounds. I have been working out and I've definitely gained some muscle, and I've maintained that 250 pounds, so I feel a little better about that number. And I would say I actually, seems like I fit pretty good. I'm kind of surprised, honestly. Height, everything. It's got the little like shoulder check pads. I think we're in business. All right, well, that's actually going really well so far. Before we move along with that, there is something that I want to talk to you guys about real quick. Iceco refrigerators. So here's the deal. Regular like chest freezers that you just put ice in, and then you put all your crap in there, and then it gets just all waterlogged because all the ice melts, and then you have to constantly drain the water out and taking it either camping or to the racetrack, or it's just a constant thing of, do we have ice in the fridge? Has it become an ocean inside of the fridge? But not with Iceco's products. So this is their APL 20, and this one is brand new to their lineup. This, you can get it in this all like murdered out black that actually looks really slick. So what makes this special is we plug it in, we turn it on, it just kicked on. Could you even hear that? So this is a electric cooler. It's a miniature refrigerator that has a legit miniature compressor in it, just like what your fridge in your house does. The difference is this baby's made to run off of 12 volts. So right now I have it plugged in to the outlet over there with this like adapter, but you can put this right into your car with your cigarette lighter. So I can tuck this behind the seats in my truck, in our Tahoe, for road trips, for this camper adventure that we're about to get into that's coming up on the next episodes, and pretty much any trip to the racetrack and whatever in between. This thing is pretty legit. So it's all made out of aluminum. It has these real heavy duty like latches and spring-loaded handles. The lid, we'll get into the guts here. You can open it in any position. It won't fall down on you. You can put it wherever. This is their 21 quart model. They have bigger ones, but this is a smaller single zone. So you can set your temperature here and it will just go to that temperature. It can be a freezer or a fridge. I have it set to like 30 right now, and you can already see it's starting to get some humidity. It's super efficient, so it doesn't use a lot of power, and it actually cools down like really quick. Being all aluminum, this thing weighs like nothing. And to make the technically not a cooler even cooler, it has its own app. So you can connect to the fridge on your phone over Bluetooth. You can raise or minus the temperature. You can see where you're at inside there. You can adjust the settings, turn it on and off, put it into like eco mode to save even more power. All that good modern tech stuff. So if something like this tickles your fancy, you can go over to Iceco's website that I'll have in a link down below. You can use code TDOG, and that will actually get you 12% off, not just this bad boy, but any of the products that they have on their website. Just use code TDOG at checkout. I'll save you 12% and help support the channel. So on with the video. right, so this is our brackets that I got to hopefully make all this kind of conjunction with the S10. Now, these aren't actually S10 brackets, so these are for a C5 Corvette. I'm hoping to make these work with what we got. They seem to be most similar. They don't make them for S10s, but it's from a Corvette of like the same time period. And the main reason I went with these is this seemed to be one of the most simplest and similar to what I already have. So this is basically how the S10 is. It just has the 4 bolts that go straight down into the ground, and these should supposedly line up. These seats already have sliders on the bottom of them. They're already like installed, so that's cool, and they should line up. We'll see about that, but that'll go on the sliders, and then this will go to my floor. And then if I need to modify this, because I know the S10 has like way more contour in the floor, I'm sure like maybe this one would be longer and this one would be shorter. It'd just be a matter of cutting and adding. It's just all made out of flat stock, so we should be able to make this work. I know it's going to take a little bit of modification, but I think this is the simplest way to do it versus just completely making one from scratch. And then to go with that, I got some bags of hardware that should work with all of this. So these are the like Allen head hardware that's made to work with these. Again, I probably could go find this stuff locally, but this is just, it didn't cost that much, and it's just going to make the process simpler and faster, so why not? So I will have links to all this stuff down below the video, down in the description, maybe even in the comment area. If you want to check any of this stuff out, I'll have the seats. There's a few different people that sell these and the styles and shapes, and they kind of like alternate. I think they kind of make them in batches. There's probably going to be like multiple sellers for this stuff, so I'm just going to throw down what I think is going to work for you, and then you can go from there. So try to save you a step. You might be wondering, didn't you already do some kind of seat thing with this truck in the past? And yes I did. These are actually out of Equinox, like a 2000, I don't know, maybe like a 12, 11, somewhere in that range, of a Chevy Equinox. And I just happened to find these at the junkyard. They had the kind of the look I was going for with the black with the red stitching, if you noticed a pattern of what we just bought. They had like factory bolsters, but they're not like serious bolsters. And these have been pretty decent for the most part. The biggest thing is that I had to do a lot of work to get these to fit on like the stock sliders and stuff for the S10. Consequence of that is that they just sit up too high. This one's also like tilted back really far, so like your knees just go like right into this part of the dash that sticks out. And with me being on the tall side, I'm basically like in the ceiling, so if I pull up really close to like traffic lights and stuff, like I have to duck to see up and out the window, and it's just getting really annoying. And then so we got another situation. So our Corvette brackets are not even close. The way that S10 bolts to the floor, it's like not square at all. These are really close together, those are really far apart, and they're all kind of in just like that, like these aren't even in line with each other. So they're kind of their own animal. So I think the plan's gonna be to actually go back and use part of the original S10 stuff. So I was considering how much cutting and stuff I'd have to do to try to make that all fit, and then I was looking at these, and I think the best thing I got that I came up with is I don't really want to use these slides because I don't like this handle setup. Those already have slides on them. These brackets are made to already perfectly fit that really weird floor bolt thing that's going on. So I think I'm going to try to drill out these like rivets that hold these to the slides, and then I can just mount these brackets in to the floor, and then that'll give me that like just nice flat base. And then maybe I'll just like put this on top of it because this bolts to the seat, or maybe I'll end up just returning these and we're just run some pieces of flat stock across and then just bolt those into the new slides, and then those will just get tack welded, maybe bolted on here. I think that's going to be the easiest way out of this. Okay, so I got these brackets hand tight down. I just got like one bolt on the front just to kind of hold them there. I'm glad I took the time to try to go this route because these are actually about as low profile as it's going to get. Like, that's against the carpet. And then I don't know if it comes up on camera, but there's all kinds of contours in this floor, so they already did the work to figure all that out. And now I just have like a flat base to work off of. So the plan ended up being to tack weld the seats in place. So I had to get the hood open, grab a few tools so that way I can get the battery disconnected, because the last thing I want to do is end up frying any of our electronics, especially our computer that is very custom tuned at this point. So I'm definitely not a fan of having to do any interior welding unless I really have to, but I just want to get these tacked in while everything's perfectly in place right now. So I got the welding blanket. Of course, before that I had to clean up the work pieces, and we're going to get this just tack welded in place, and then I can pull it out and then weld it for real. So welding inside can be a little tricky. No matter how much you have covered up and protected, there's always just those few stray sparks that kind of just go wherever they want to go. I did the best to protect the seat. I got some tinfoil tape, kind of like what you'd use like on your furnace at home. It's that thick aluminum stuff. It definitely helped a little bit, but it's still not bulletproof. So the name of the game is just to get this all done with everything as unscathed as possible, and then that way we know we have a template that is like 100% in the right place, and I know it's all measured up right. So once I got those done, then I carefully pulled the seats out, and then I was able to do some welding on the workbench, which is way less sketchy than doing it on the carpet in the truck. So I still had to worry about burning the seat, so I got it all covered up, but way safer. So just got that all welded up, and that is what she looks like now. Definitely pretty solid, still pretty warm to the touch too. That's all cleaned up, and then that side I'm just waiting to do that one weld just so I have a chance to maybe tweak this if it ends up being wrong. I hope not, because this is pretty permanent at this point. So with all that though, it's test fit time. Dropped right in on the studs. So that is a very good start. Just gotta try to not step on all my tools. Ooh. Oh, that's definitely different. So I definitely got enough leg room. I made sure, it was kind of tricky. I made sure I had enough leg room but I also wanted to be able to put the seat all the way up so I can actually like get the stuff back here, because this part of the truck doesn't open up. So I got plenty of leg room. My knees way far back. I was worried because the way these are shaped, it looked like it was still going to be raked up a little bit, because the seat brackets are raked back, and then the seat, like the way the foam is kind of raked back too. So I was like, ooh, we might be kind of back where we started. But I did measure it. Everything's going to be about an inch lower than where these are, and then it depends on like how much it squishes when you sit on it, which is kind of impossible to measure for. Seats are like the one thing, they make a really big difference. It's like putting wheels on a car. The seats are something like interior wise, like that's like one of the biggest differences. I would say seats, maybe steering wheel, like that's how you sit and feel and drive any car, truck, whatever. That's what gives you just the overall like experience. You know, there's little trick things like a nice stereo or something, but at the end of the day, when you're just driving, like steering wheel, seats make the biggest difference. So this is what I was talking about earlier. If I pull that up and push that up, I can reach back there. If this was just a little bit more, like, it's just, you know, I try not to come into the truck from this way, because it opens up on that side. So it's only like if I have to, or something slides over here and I just can't get to it. But it's not like that big of a deal. I'm not going to cut it all up and just for like an inch. I would say 99% I think I got it first try, which is really cool because it doesn't always work out that way. So it is the next day and I ended up sleeping on it, and the more I thought about it, I came out here today and I took all this apart. I cut all my welds, and I did move this 1 inch further than what it was. So is a little bit of work. It's not that big of a deal. I have all the stuff to do it. I'm kind of glad I did, because I realized how the brackets were attached to the S10. I should say the S10 brackets were sitting on the sliders. They were actually grinding in just a little bit in like one spot, which was causing part of that issue where it was hanging up going back and forth. Now it can come forward just a little bit more. It makes getting behind there just a little bit more easier, and I think it's like pretty much dialed in at this point. It slides really nice, and I even added the spring from the original S10 seats to kind of help, because the way the seats are, they kind of like go downhill. So now it slides super nice. So now our mission is, we don't have anywhere for this feller to go. And that could be a little bit of an issue depending on how you look at it. Luckily I still have the original S10 seat belts, and I'm going to go back to these. There's a couple reasons for that. Now that you can see all this gray carpet, this is actually going to look nice and blend here. I need to clean it up a little bit. It's kind of a little worse for wear, but it still works. And this one's a little longer than the Equinox ones I was using. And not to mention the S10 and those Equinox seats, they both like attached to the side of the seat. And I'm just not doing that for a good handful of reasons. I think my plan is, I'll give you guys some light so you can see. We're just going to make pretty much a simple little L bracket. It'll come back from there. I have the seat kind of in a middle spot right now, so that way if I get this to where it's kind of in a perfect spot, that way if you go back or forward a little bit, like, you know, this thing isn't going to get like lost behind the seat. I just got to make that up. Well, this is what I got. I did round this edge out a little bit because the way this is stamped, it fits nicely down in there. So this will help keep it from twisting if worst case scenario ever happened. All right, that bracket is bolted in. It don't look pretty, but it's there. Get this back, and bam, we got a seatbelt there. So should be a pretty sturdy one too. All right, so this side is pretty much done. So brackets are all done. We got our seatbelt in. Obviously I gotta do a little bit of finishing up. I need to clean it up, repaint where I like ground all the paint off the brackets, some little beauty cap things. That needs just, I want to weld where I folded that metal over because I cut it, just to make sure it has its strength. And but basically just clean it up, finish it. So that brings us to the funnest part. At least for me, I get to do the driver's side now. But for you guys, we're gonna jump to that point right about now. All right, so for me, it's about a week later now, and we got 2 seats in here. So I got these all done and 100% finished up and put in place just the way that I wanted to. So there's a little bit more to that, but they look really good the way that they are. So let's go over and check the other side out. So open that bad boy up, and now we got a seat over here. So I did some driving around. I did like a short little drive when I first got this all tacked in here, which was a lot easier since I knew 100% where my measurements needed to be over there. I just took everything apart and fully did it on the workbench and welded it. No sketchy catching the seat on fire, none of that. So it was all done, you know, properly. I found out, because of my darn tallness, I was still a little close to the ceiling. You know, it is a smaller truck, so it's just going to be like that. But they had these spacers between the track and the seat on all 4 corners. So I actually took those out, and you can barely see them up in there. And I replaced them with just 2 washers all the way around, because I like the tilt and the way it sits and everything. I was just trying to get a little bit of that extra height out of there. So 2 was about as low as I could go, to where the like tracks won't actually like rub the fabric where it's like all folded up down there and get caught on it. So I did that when I took it apart for the final time, painted everything, re-greased the tracks, and just got these babies 100% dialed in. So another thing to show you, we'll come forward here. Oh, it's so easy to move. I got my little seatbelt warning light thing hooked back in, and here is the brackets all painted up, and you can see where I welded on either side just to make sure this baby was extra sturdy in case something ever happened. I took a little trip with this all in its like final position the way that it was, and I actually got rid of some scrap that I had laying around. I'm super stoked with them. They actually feel really good. If I had to complain about one thing I found out, is the back has a little bit of give to it. I did find out they were like kind of sketchy loose and almost seemed kind of like unsafe. I ended up taking these covers off on the side, and I found the bolts that actually hold all this together were not loose, but they weren't as tight as they could be. So I tightened all those up on both seats, and that actually made it a lot better. There's still just a little bit of give in there, and I don't know if there's something inside that maybe needs tightened up, or that's just the way it is. Besides for that one complaint, I have to say that I am pretty freaking happy with them so far. So this is probably one of the last projects you're going to see me do in the tiny garage here. And if you're not aware, it's because I'm building a bigger shop, a whole barn dominium that has a big garage with a house all attached like one thing on some land that we bought, and we're going through the whole thing beginning to end. Like, we just bought land with trees on it, and we're clearing the trees and ground zero all the way up. So if that interests you, it might be a good time to subscribe to the channel and see how that progress goes. go for this setup. I actually got the whole HP tuner suit with the cord, so I can plug it into my laptop and actually start fine-tuning this setup myself, because the two tuners that I've been through, I mean, the truck came a long way, but it still has a long way to go, and I've already made such a huge difference on this. Just the way that it idles, it starts, the way the gears change. So now we can be doing like 30 miles an hour, and I'll give it a little juice. Oh man, such a big difference. Before you'd hit it and it would just never downshift and you'd just like bog. Oh, I don't know if you could hear it, but the tire like broke loose and everything. It's just so much better now. Don't forget to check out our house building series that's coming up. And thanks for hanging out, and I will see you in the next one.